And Andy Scantland and I are vanquishing evil. The Vanquishing Evil Initiative. How's it going, man?
It's going well. How was your evil vanquish last week?
You know what? I don't think it was a very evil week. Actually, it was a good week. So I'm super happy about it. Did you have
That's
your
great.
armor and sword on, slashing through evil?
Yeah. Yeah. We need a logo for the Vanquishing Evil Initiative.
We do. I got a friend who's working on one, but she's on vacation right now. So
okay.
See how it goes.
All right. So what are we talking about today, Tim?
Well, last week you and I were speaking about conversations you've been having with leaders around returning to office and all of the interesting issues and challenges they've been running into that weren't foreseen. And so I thought we would talk about that. Like, what have your conversations and experiences been, Andy? Like, what do people need to think about if their organization is looking at an imminent return to office or planning one in the next 3 to 6 months?
Right. Yeah. And you know a lot about this because you oversaw people exiting the office last March. And I know your organization's been thinking about how you get back in a safe and healthy way that supports people. I think a couple of things have come up in talking about this, and I think it's really timely. One is leaders are finding that people have a variety of attitudes about coming back. Some people are so pumped to come back right away. They want to spend all their time in the office. They feel more productive. They feel more contributing. Other people have really started to enjoy being at home, and they don't see a reason, because they've been productive, they don't see a reason to stay in the office all the time. And other people are just plain anxious about coming back to the office. They're not sure it's a safe place to be. And they want to know how that's going to happen in a way that supports them. So the variety of attitudes toward this, I think, has been really fascinating.
Yeah, what are some of the different viewpoints? So you talked about a lot of the challenges, but what are some of the viewpoints that you've heard, right? Because I think today's conversation is going to set up a larger conversation that we're going to have over a series of videos.
Mm-hmm. I think there's some questions that people have. They want to know what precautions have been taken, obviously, so that they can be safe with the people around them. They also want to know how quickly you're going to ask me to come back to the office and how frequently. Are we going to flip the light switch and go from 0 days in the office to 5 days in the office? Or is it going to be a more measured approach? They're also asking, how crowded is the office going to be? And has the office layout been changed to support me? And I think leaders want to know in a big way how to communicate all these things to their teams, because a lot of leaders don't feel quite comfortable in expressing this in a really clear and supportive way.
Some companies have already started the migration back into the office. And I think a lot of people have been looking towards this day, like, I can't wait. It's going to be just like old times. But the fact of the matter is, it's not like old times at all. We're going to be talking about change management, right? Because we've been at home for a year. So now it's another major change with people's lives. Family issues. Is the school going to be open? Is it not going to be open? Will it stay open? Company policies towards sick days, right? There will be, I'm sure, zero tolerance for anybody with a sniffle or a cough at work.
Right.
But we've been working from home. What are the expectations, and how does that actually play out? I think we're going to talk about managing a lot of conflict with things that we've just taken for granted.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think you call out something that's really important, is that you can look at this as a real change management kind of initiative, is that we're really changing again how we work.
Yeah.
And if we were planning a move for our company, if we were planning to change the organizational design, we look at it as a real initiative, not to be taken lightly. And we think about communication stuff. We think about logistical stuff. We think about how to support people and have them feel at their best when they come back to work. And so what are the elements that go into that kind of change management initiative? And I think you're one thing that has never really been talked about in the workplace in a serious way is something you brought up, which is taking care of my kids. Because everybody's going to have a different experience around their school and around how much care their kids need and how their kids get educated. And how do I as a parent make sure my kids are supported while I'm able to do my work?
What happens if we come back to the office and everything calms down and gets smooth, and then we leave again? So, this is just going to be a massive exercise in mental agility and adaptability. And you know what? I liked it. I liked when we did the articles because we called out the evil in each situation, right? And so I would venture to say, and I want to know your opinion on this, the evil, the potential for bad management, the potential for conflict really does exist with plan A's only. We have a plan A, but we haven't really done a plan B. 2, we are, at least for the next year and a half, family life and work life are 100% married. So the evil could become, well, are you here or are you there? We're at both places because life is constantly in flux and our personal lives haven't gone back to normal. Our work lives haven't gone back to normal, and both are in flux. And then communication up and down is another huge potential for evil, right? What do you think, Andy?
I think the biggest potential evil, I don't think there are a lot of really malicious people out there, but I think the biggest potential evil that we could step into unintentionally is assuming that our experience, my individual experience, is what everybody's experiencing.
Well said.
And when I make that assumption, I'm going to make some decisions that won't serve nearly everybody. And it's going to create a lot of thrash.
Well, if you want to follow that, that stream of thought, another potential evil is the way I've chosen to balance my work and personal life is optimal for everyone. And that is also not the case.
Right. Yeah. Something like, I think the research is telling us that something like 54% of adults have felt significant anxiety in the last year.
Yeah.
And it's significant. And to think that we can take the way we experience life and our work and things and apply it across the board is kind of a recipe for challenge, for problems.
Yeah, I don't know if I said it here, but so I spent my 20s in Iraq, back in the early 2000s, and about 2010 was the last year I was in Iraq. And within a couple years after that, I got calls from lots of friends. I'm having troubles, I'm having issues, and I've gotten diagnosed with PTSD, right? And you would think that was normal. Last year, I got probably the same amount of calls from people that hadn't had PTSD problems, who were suddenly diagnosed with PTSD after a decade of not being in a war zone. And really, that is a symptom of a completely disrupted routine, completely disrupted social structure, and time given to unhealthy habits, whether they're mental or physical habits, and time not focused on finding an alternative way to take care of myself. And so I think we're going to, again, see a lot of that anxiety with another massive shift back to the office. What say you?
I think that's real life. I think what you're calling out is really going to be true. Yep. Now, will there be a little bit more enthusiasm around this than there was when we went the other direction? Probably. But it still represents significant change.
Yep.
And as you call it, it's a change to our social structure, which is really really unsettles people. It really is uncomfortable. So what do we need to create for them?
Yeah, I got a feeling there's a Maslow discussion coming up. Andy, I think this was a great setup for what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about change management around RTO. We're going to talk about Maslow and how to create predictability and value for people during this transition. We're going to talk a lot, several episodes about managing conflict. And then once we've kind of wrapped this up, we're going to jump back into the original thread that we have with abusive management. But I'm really excited about this.
Right. And I would venture that the issues we're going to talk about here can be applied well beyond the COVID transition.
Absolutely. And here's another thing, right? We've kind of been maybe a little bit downtrodden and doom and gloom with this conversation, but there is opportunity in every change. There's an opportunity to recreate new and better engagement and relationships with your people that you can take hold of if you plan and if you feel and if you engage.
Okay. Yeah. Sneak preview. What's the one thing we want to create and maintain? How much trust can you build with your team?
Yeah, I thought I already had trust, but with every transition, we need to reestablish, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Awesome.
Right. Absolutely right. So good. Looking forward to this. This is going to be fun. I think it'll be helpful for folks.
All right. Change management next week, everybody. Have a good one.
All right. Be good. Be safe.